Hello, everyone. I'm Major Garrett in Washington. Tonight on America Decides.
I'm Tom McKenzie in London. These are the stories that set your agenda.
In the second term of his presidency, Donald Trump has set his sights on the European Union, continuing his aggressive trade policy, which centers around his America First agenda. His recent tariffs on steel, aluminum, and automobiles have rattled the EU, escalating tensions and threatening to throw transatlantic trade relations into turmoil. The tariffs, implemented under the guise of national security concerns, are not just symbolic gestures. They're the result of months of escalating negotiations and increasing frustration with Europe's trade practices. These measures have set the stage for a potentially devastating trade war between two of the world's largest economic powers. The seeds of this conflict were planted in 2018, when President Trump first imposed tariffs on steel and aluminum imports from the EU, citing national security concerns. His argument was that foreign steel and aluminum were undermining the U.S. industry, driving down prices and putting American jobs at risk. The EU, in turn, viewed these tariffs as an unjustified protectionist move. The tariffs were followed by additional levies on European automobiles, which Trump argued were threatening the American car industry. These measures, according to the administration, were necessary to rebalance trade and protect U.S. industries from what they perceived as unfair competition from Europe. The European Union has responded strongly, with concerns that these tariffs are not merely about trade imbalances, but a broader effort to undermine Europe's competitive edge. For the EU, Trump's actions seem like a direct challenge to its economic sovereignty and a threat to its global standing. The EU's reaction has been one of defiance, with the bloc making it clear that it would not accept the imposition of unilateral tariffs without legal justification. The EU has called for multilateral negotiations through the World Trade Organization, WTO, but Trump's America First policy has been unyielding. In retaliation for Trump's tariffs, the European Union approved a comprehensive retaliation package worth $28 billion. This massive package targets a range of American products, from motorcycles to food items to high-tech goods. The strategy is clear. Hit key industries in the U.S. where the impact would be most felt. The U.S. products that are specifically targeted include iconic brands like Harley-Davidson motorcycles, Levi's jeans, bourbon, and various agricultural products. Additionally, the EU has proposed tariffs on technology and machinery, a sector that is crucial to the U.S. economy and key to its competitiveness in global markets. EU leaders have been unequivocal in their stance. Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the European Commission, emphasized that the EU would not accept being bullied into submission through unilateral tariffs. The bloc's retaliation is not just economic. It's a demonstration of European unity and resolve. The EU's primary concern is not only about tariffs, but about the broader implications of unilateral actions undermining the rules-based international trading system. The EU sees Trump's tariffs as an erosion of the multilateral trade system established by the World Trade Organization, which has governed international commerce for decades. The response from Washington has been confident. The Trump administration's messaging has remained bullish, with officials repeatedly asserting that the U.S. would emerge victorious from this trade confrontation. "We'll win the trade war," was a common refrain from senior officials, including U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer. The White House argues that tariffs will force European nations to the negotiating table, leading to fairer trade agreements and greater market access for American businesses. The administration believes that the economic pain from tariffs will eventually compel Europe to make concessions, resulting in better trade terms for the U.S. However, not everyone in Washington shares this optimism. U.S. Congress members, particularly from the Midwest, where industries like agriculture, automotive, and manufacturing are vital, have raised concerns. They fear that the tariffs will hurt American workers more than help them. Industry lobby groups, including the American Farm Bureau Federation and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, have warned that the tariffs could raise costs for American consumers, lead to job losses, and create inflationary pressures. U.S. agricultural exports to Europe, including products like soybeans and pork, could face retaliation, threatening U.S. farmers' livelihoods. While the EU has presented a united front, the internal dynamics within the bloc are far from seamless. Different member states have varying priorities when it comes to trade. Germany, as Europe's largest economy, has the most to lose due to its dependence on the automotive sector. Germany's auto giants, Volkswagen, BMW, and Mercedes-Benz, could be severely impacted by tariffs on cars. France has a particular interest in agricultural products, including wine, cheese, and spirits. French farmers and manufacturers are lobbying their government to protect their products from tariffs that could disrupt trade flows and cost them dearly. Italy and Spain, two countries with robust agricultural industries, also face significant threats from tariffs on food products. While the EU as a whole has presented a unified front, the potential for side deals and compromises remains high, and it's clear that individual countries are weighing their options. The consequences of a full-blown trade war between the US and the EU could be catastrophic. Inflation would likely soar as the cost of goods, both imported and domestically produced, rises. Consumers would feel the impact on everything from food prices to electronics, as supply chains get disrupted and tariffs drive up the cost of goods. Manufacturers, already facing higher production costs due to tariffs, might need to raise prices, which could lead to layoffs as companies attempt to stay competitive. The automotive sector, already under strain from tariffs on Chinese goods, would face further disruptions, potentially leading to factory shutdowns and job cuts. Furthermore, the broader global financial markets would likely be rocked by such a trade war. Investors would pull back, as the prospects of a prolonged trade conflict between two of the world's largest economic players would dampen confidence in global growth. The impact on global supply chains would be another major consequence. As tariffs force companies to rethink their sourcing strategies, supply chains across Europe, the US, and the rest of the world could become severely disrupted. Multinational companies that rely on European imports of raw materials and finished goods might be forced to shift production to other regions or bear the increased costs. This shift would create bottlenecks in supply chains, driving up prices for consumers while slowing down production rates across multiple sectors. The effects could be particularly stark for the automotive, tech, and agricultural industries, all of which rely heavily on just-in-time supply chains that are already stretched thin. The question remains, will this standoff end in a full-blown trade war, or can last-minute diplomacy avert the worst? There are signs that both sides are hedging their bets. While the EU has made it clear that it won't back down, and the US continues to assert its position, the possibility of a negotiated settlement still exists. The upcoming months will be critical, with potential talks in the WTO, diplomatic backchannels, and the possibility of compromise looming large. However, given Trump's track record, the risk of further escalation remains high.